If disaster struck tonight, would you honestly be ready? Think about it. No power? No stores? No help coming. Most people aren't prepared. And FEMA knows it. That's not just a concern. It's a dangerous reality. Natural disasters, grid failures, pandemics. These aren't what ifs anymore. They're when, and when it happens. The last place you want to be is in an empty supermarket aisle while everyone else has already shifted into survival mode. In this video, I'm breaking down the 10 absolutely critical emergency items FEMA says every household must have. But here's the surprising part. Most families don't even have half of them. And because I've spent over a decade studying real-world emergencies, testing survival gear, and digging deep into FEMA's actual disaster readiness plans, I'm also going to share a few life-saving tools that aren't on their list, but should be. These are the things that can literally mean the difference between making it through or being caught completely unprepared. Stick with me, because I'm not just going to rattle off the obvious stuff. Trust me, you don't want to miss number 9. It's the most overlooked yet possibly the most essential item people forget. And before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you already noticed shortages or price spikes on survival gear, like bottled water, masks, or medical kits? Drop your experience in the comments, because the more we share, the stronger we all become. Alright, let's start with the most vital resource of all, water. Without it, you don't stand a chance. FEMA places it at the very top of the list for good reason. You can't survive more than a few days without it. Their official recommendation: 1 gallon per person, per day for at least 3 days. But let's be real, that's just scraping by. A family of 5 would need 15 gallons, and that's only for drinking, cooking, and basic hygiene like brushing your teeth. Now you don't need to spend a fortune to stockpile water. The cheapest way: grab gallon jugs from your local store, usually about $1 each, and build your stash slowly. Toss an extra jug or 2 in your cart every time you shop, and before you know it, you'll have a reliable supply tucked away. If space is tight, stackable 5 or 7 gallon water cubes are a smart option. They're durable, reusable, and come with spouts for easy pouring. Just make sure you keep your water in a cool, dark place. Heat and sunlight can degrade containers and affect water quality, so avoid garages or sheds in the summer. Here's a pro tip: water has a shelf life too. Even sealed bottles should be rotated every 6 months to a year. Write the date on each container so you know when it's time to refresh your supply. And if you're caught off guard without a stash, don't panic. Fill your bathtub immediately. A single tub can hold dozens of gallons, which can keep your family going in a pinch. You can also fill up clean bottles, pitchers, or even cooking pots. Just make sure they're sanitized first. Bottom line, water isn't just number 1 on FEMA's list, it's the ultimate survival lifeline. Without it, everything else becomes irrelevant. Food. It's non-negotiable. Without it, you're in serious trouble. That's why FEMA lists food right after water as the second most critical survival item. And think about it, when disaster strikes, grocery store shelves are stripped bare in hours, and sometimes, you can't even reach them at all. The only thing standing between your family and hunger is what you've already put aside. FEMA's guideline is simple but urgent: 3 meals per person, per day, for at least 3 days. That means a family of 5 needs 45 meals, stocked and ready to go. Sounds like a lot, but it's more achievable than most people realize. Start with the basics: canned goods. They're cheap, easy to find, and can last 2 to 5 years if stored properly. Think beans, soups, vegetables, tuna, chicken, chili, even fruit. They're quick to prepare, and don't need refrigeration. Just don't forget a manual can opener, because in a blackout, that electric one isn't going to do you much good. If you want something more compact, but still calorie-dense, Meals Ready to Eat, or MREs, are a powerhouse option. These are the same meals used by the military and survivalists. Lightweight, fully packaged, and often including heaters and utensils, 1 MRE can pack 1,200 to 2,000 calories. They're easy to stash, easy to carry, and they can last up to 5 years. For serious long-term preparation, freeze-dried meals are king. You've probably seen those big buckets at camping stores or online. They aren't cheap, but they can offer 60 to 100 servings, and if stored correctly, they last up to 25 years. That's the kind of food supply you can set and forget, ready whenever life throws the worst at you. Don't overlook high-energy snacks, either. Granola bars, trail mix, peanut butter, these require no cooking, pack a lot of calories, and can keep you going when time and energy are scarce. And here's something most people forget: comfort foods. Crackers, cookies, or even a bit of chocolate for the kids. In stressful situations, morale is just as important as calories. A little sweetness can remind you that life will return to normal again. Store everything in a cool, dry place, away from sunlight and moisture. Rotate your supplies every 6 months to a year, so nothing goes bad. And always consider allergies or dietary restrictions in your household. At the end of the day, food isn't just about filling your stomach, it's about survival, stability, and strength. But food and water alone aren't enough. Because in the middle of a disaster, information becomes just as critical as supplies. And when the power's out, your phone is dead, and the internet is gone. How do you stay connected? That's where your lifeline comes in, an emergency radio. Let's be clear, this isn't a luxury item, it's a must-have. FEMA strongly recommends having one powered by batteries, a hand crank, or solar. Why? Because in a crisis, knowing what's happening can literally save your life. Emergency radios connect you to real-time updates from the National Weather Service and local authorities, so you know when to move, where to go, and what danger is coming next. Take Hurricane Sandy in 2012. Whole neighborhoods in New York went dark. No power, no phones, no internet. Relief stations and shelters were just blocks away, but thousands of people had no clue because they had no way of getting information. An emergency radio would have made all the difference. So what should you look for? At a minimum 3 power sources, a hand crank for when all else fails, a solar panel to charge during the day, and a USB port for backup charging when you still have power banks or car access. The best radios even include flashlights, sirens, and phone charging ports. Models like the Voyager or the budget-friendly Running Snail are solid options. Keep your radio in an easy-to-reach spot like your emergency kit or living room, and test it now and then to make sure it still works. Because when everything else fails, that little box might be the only voice connecting you to the outside world. And that brings us to the next item, a first aid kit. Let's be real, nobody wants to think about injuries during a disaster, but here's the truth. When chaos hits, hospitals can be overwhelmed, roads blocked, and ambulances delayed for hours, even days. That means you're on your own, and in that moment, your first aid kit isn't just a box of bandages, it's your at-home emergency room. When disaster strikes, injuries aren't just possible, they're almost guaranteed. And here's the reality, hospitals may be overcrowded, roads blocked, and ambulances nowhere in sight. That means you're the first responder for your family. A first aid kit isn't just a box of supplies, it's your personal emergency room when the real one isn't an option. Sure, every kit should have the basics, bandages, gauze, tape, antiseptic wipes, and pain relievers. But let's go deeper, because it's the extras that often make the difference between a small scare and a life-threatening situation. Burn gel, for example, is a game changer. Whether it's a house fire, a cooking accident, or boiling water during a blackout, burns happen more often than you'd expect. Having cooling gel on hand can reduce pain, prevent infection, and speed up recovery. Next, medication. Over-the-counter drugs can be lifesavers when pharmacies are closed for days. Stock up on antihistamines, like Benadryl, for allergic reactions, anti-diarrheal medicine, for stomach issues, cold and flu relief, and basic painkillers, like ibuprofen, or acetaminophen. And here's something most people never prepare for: prescription medications. If someone in your household relies on daily meds, talk to your doctor about getting at least a 30-day backup supply. Because running out in the middle of a disaster isn't just inconvenient, it could be deadly. And then there's infection control. When clean water is scarce, even a tiny cut can spiral into a serious infection. Keep antiseptics, sterile tools, extra gloves, and antibiotic ointment in your kit. It's not about being paranoid, it's about staying ahead of problems that can snowball fast when help isn't coming. Just remember, check your kit often. Medications expire, supplies get used up, and the last thing you want is to find out something's missing when you need it most. Now let's shift gears to something tiny, so small it might seem almost laughable. But FEMA insists it belongs in every survival kit. A whistle. It sounds simple, even silly, until you picture this. You're trapped under debris after an earthquake. You're stranded in a flood, your voice hoarse from yelling, your phone long dead, no one knows where you are. But a whistle? That piercing, high-pitched sound can cut through chaos and carry for miles. It's a signal that says, "I'm here, come find me." Real-life disasters prove its worth. During Hurricane Katrina, countless survivors were stranded in attics or perched on rooftops as floodwaters rose. Many screamed until they lost their voices. But those with whistles? They had a clear, unmistakable cry for help that rescuers could hear even over helicopters and rushing water. Not all whistles are equal, though. You want one that's painfully loud, 100 decibels or more. Many come with lanyards or clips so you can keep them on you at all times. And here's a tip, don't just buy one. Get several. Keep one in your emergency kit, one in your car, and even one on your keychain. Teach your family, especially kids, how to use them. In a real crisis, every second counts, and a whistle could be your loudest lifeline. But survival isn't just about food, water, or being found. Sometimes it comes down to something invisible, something we take for granted every single day. The air you breathe. That's why FEMA recommends dust masks, or even better, N95 respirators. Because when the world around you is filled with smoke, ash, or toxic debris, the air itself becomes a silent killer. Wildfires choke the sky with smoke, earthquakes release massive dust clouds, and industrial accidents can fill neighborhoods with chemicals. In those moments, breathing unprotected isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Let's break it down. Basic dust masks, the cheap kind from hardware stores, are better than nothing. But they only block big particles, not fine smoke or pathogens. Surgical masks like the blue ones from the pandemic help protect others from your droplets, but they're not designed to protect you. The gold standard? N95 respirators. They filter out 95% of airborne particles as small as 0.3 microns, including smoke, dust, bacteria, and even viruses. The fit is everything. A properly sealed N95 creates a protective barrier between you and toxic air, giving you time to think clearly, move safely, and protect your lungs from long-term damage. The truth is, clean air can disappear in an instant. Having the right masks on hand isn't about comfort, it's about survival. When disaster hits, the air itself can turn against you. Smoke from wildfires, toxic dust from collapsed buildings, or even chemicals from industrial spills. Suddenly every breath becomes a risk. That's why FEMA doesn't just recommend masks. They stress the importance of N95 respirators. Unlike flimsy paper masks or basic cloth coverings, an N95 forms a tight seal around your nose and mouth. That seal is the difference between inhaling dangerous particles or filtering them out before they ever reach your lungs. But here's the catch. An N95 that doesn't fit properly is almost useless. So here's a pro tip, don't just buy them, practice wearing them. Learn how to adjust the straps, mold the nosepiece, and test for leaks. If air escapes around the edges, you're not protected. And if you've got kids, don't assume adult masks will work. Get child-sized versions so their faces are protected too. Storage matters as well. Keep your masks in a cool, dry place and check expiration dates. Yes, masks do expire. The filter material can degrade, and elastic straps can snap when you need them most. Bottom line, in a disaster, clean air could become a luxury, and a simple mask could save your lungs, or even your life. Don't wait until the smoke is already in the sky. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. 2 items you'd expect in a garage, not a survival kit: plastic sheeting and duct tape. Sounds like a weekend DIY project, right? But here's the truth. These 2 tools could be the very thing that saves your life. FEMA includes them on their official list for one reason: shelter in place. Imagine there's a chemical spill, a biological threat, or even radioactive fallout in the air. You don't always have time to evacuate. Instead, you need to seal yourself in. By covering vents, windows, and cracks with heavy-duty plastic and duct tape, you can create an airtight safe zone inside your own home. It's not pretty, but when the outside air turns deadly, it's effective. Pick an interior room with few doors and windows, like a bathroom or laundry room, and keep your sheeting and tape stored together so you can move fast. Pro tip: don't buy flimsy plastic. Go for sheets that are 4 to 6 mm thick, and duct tape that actually sticks under pressure. And the uses don't stop there. Plastic sheeting can double as a rain catcher, a makeshift tarp, or even a roof patch in an emergency. Duct tape? Well, it's basically the Swiss Army knife of survival. Use it to repair gear, secure tarps, seal containers, or even improvise a medical bandage. These may not look like survival tools, but when the moment comes, they'll prove themselves. Speaking of things no one wants to think about, let's talk about sanitation.